It wouldn't be right. No, it wouldn't be right, Eric. You know it would not be right.
Just
You know what it is, man. I'm sorry, man. I have to do it. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, man? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans Real Talk. Oh man, we got a whole lot to get into this week, but before we do, let me introduce my co-host, my brother, the one and only Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games.
was really good, man. I'm super excited today because we actually have some sports to talk about. We almost had to go a whole week with no real sports related topics, so now we back to it.
Well, we did at least, you know what I'm saying? We did, I mean, not that this All-Star weekend was the best All-Star weekend, and all I could think about coming out of All-Star weekend was White Men Can't Jump, the movie. That's what my mind was brought back to. Shout out to Mac McClung on winning the dunk contest. But when he won, I'm sorry, but that's what I thought of, especially since they're doing the remake right now with Jack Harlow. I don't know exactly what is coming out, but they definitely are remaking the movie, so that's what I was thinking about. But let's get past All Star Weekend because we kind of both agreed that the weekend as a whole was a flop. It's not the same as it used to be, but we do have some other NBA news going on right now that we are going to get to. So let's just jump right into it. The buyout market has officially opened, and we've had our first pair of signings. Two playoff teams made some moves. The first one we're gonna start with LA with the Clippers. Russell Westbrook, somebody that we speak about a lot, that's spoken about a lot in the media period, is signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. Actually had his debut last night. Not bad. Even though it was in the loss, but 17 points, 14 assists as the starting point guard for the Clippers. Can't be mad at that. But talk to me, Eric, about Russell Westbrook, the decision that he made to go to the Clippers, and how impactful you think he'll be for this team.
Well, first, Russ is petty, and I appreciate his level of pettiness because he's choosing the Clippers for one specific reason: to stick it to the Lakers. He gets, obviously he's an LA kid, so he gets to stay home. But now he stays in that building, and the Lakers are gonna have to deal with him. But I love the fit. This is what the Clippers were hoping to get from John Wall when they signed him in the offseason, but obviously John Wall was never really healthy. But a dynamic guard who can push the pace, who can kind of take some of the pressure off of Kawhi and PG-13, not only as a ball handler, but as an initiator of offense. So now those guys get possessions where they get a break. And you saw it yesterday. Immediately he comes in, gives them a double-double. His plus minus was one of the best on the court yesterday in general. Their defense struggled yesterday, but ultimately, I love all the moves the Clippers have made. And to me, this is the icing on the cake. This is their move to say we are all in on trying to win a championship this season.
I agree. I honestly, as even though because I did read some that the Clippers organization may not have wanted Russ, but that Paul George kind of went to bat for him to bring him on. I actually think this is a huge signing for the Clippers. Um, the Clippers they got shooters, they got guys that can knock down the three, and including their big two with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, but they have other shooters outside of those guys. So now to have a guy like Russell Westbrook who can kind of he's a jack of all trades pretty much at this point in his career. He can score. He can get you 13, 14 points if you need that. He can get you 10 assists if you need that. He can get you 7, 8, 9, even 10 rebounds if you need that on any given night. The fact that he comes out the gate with a double should let the NBA fans know, the players, the teams know that the Clippers made the right choice, and they're going to have to be on alert, because I really like this move for the Clippers. The way he's facilitating the ball for those guys, I think this was kind of like the perfect fit for him. The only other place where I thought that Russ would have been good, or at least I think the best would have been if he had went to Miami, just because of the environment down there with Pat Riley being there, and how the Miami Heat play basketball. I thought he would have been a good fit there as well. But I mean, I absolutely loved it. Clippers gonna have to work on their defense, because you can't be giving up 140 and 50 points like that. That's just crazy. I don't even care the fact that it went to double overtime, because it was already, the numbers was already crazy at the end of regulation. So they're gonna have to work on that. But I do really like this move for the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is going to have to be addressed, but I mean, we don't want to take anything away from Sacramento. Sacramento is one of the best offenses in the league. So every night they kind of give somebody the business. And shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We see you guys. We appreciate you guys rocking with us already. Melissa, Drunk, Who Ball a Scoop. Melissa makes a great point though. He does have to cut down on the turnovers. That's one of the things with Russ. Sometimes he gets a little out of control, and he's got to slow that down a little bit. But I think that will work itself out because as they get close to the playoffs and they figure out this rotation, and you got to remember, not only are they integrating Russ in, they're trying to integrate Eric Gordon and Bones Highland in. So they're three brand new guards to that team that they're trying to work into the rotation. They'll figure that out. And late game scenarios is always going to go through Kawhi Leonard anyway. To your point, Trip, I appreciate that. Like you highlighted, PG-13 kind of went out the way and said, no, I want Russ. You know, we have a really good relationship and we had a good relationship in OKC. But I also think the Clippers, not that they were worried about Russ, I just think they wanted to make sure that the fit was going to be right. That Russ understood, even though you're coming in and he started at point guard last night, we still aren't expecting you to kind of lead this team. We're kind of expecting you to be the energy guy when our two main guys don't have it. So I love the move from that standpoint, man. The comments looking great, man. Hoop Baller Scoop mentioned, is it me or remember when Russ and OKC didn't have that lethal foul line pull up jumper? What happened to that? Russ game has digressed a little bit. We know that he's still a quality guy, but is he the guy he was 6 years ago when he was the MVP of the league? No, he's gotten a little older. Defensive caught up to him a little bit more, and he struggled a little bit. Sometimes he gets a little out of control, but I still love his game, and I think he is a big piece to what the Clippers could be this postseason.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I said I think where he's at now at this point in his career, I think it just works out perfectly for what the Clippers needed as far as a point guard goes. I think Russ is definitely a large step up from what they, no disrespect to John Wall, but I just think he's going to be a large step up to what they were getting from John Wall, which kind of really wasn't much of anything because he wasn't even getting the time like that. But yeah, Drunk, I do agree with you on that. I'm waiting for the Russ interview as well on this Lakers. Y'all starting up early today, man. Come on, y'all started up real early. But yeah, I think it's gonna be hilarious. Because I do agree with you, Eric. I think that was a little shot back at the Lakers. Like, oh, I got a shot to one. I could stay in LA where I want to be anyway, and two, I could kind of get at you guys by me joining the Clippers. That's a rivalry team. As far as resume wise, it's not really a rivalry, but just the LA thing there's a huge rivalry there, especially the last couple of years with Kawhi kind of shunning the Lakers and then going to the Clippers as well. So I love that move for them. The other big buyout signing, Kevin Love goes to Miami to play with those guys. Um, I like the move. I don't know because Kevin Love hadn't really been playing too much the last couple of weeks with Cleveland. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to bring to them, but we do know Kevin Love is a really good rebounder. He can still shoot three. He can give you a little inside game as well. So I think he can complement those guys. And with the Nets not being there, they kind of jumped the ladder in the East as well. But do you think this gives the Miami Heat a big boost, or is this just like, they got Kevin Love, he's former All-Star, former champion, whatever, but it's kind of late in his career?
It depends on if Kevin Love can be healthy. He hasn't really been healthy for most of the season with Cleveland, and that's what really led to the buyout because they couldn't find a way to integrate him into the rotation. And obviously, they got two really good big men there as well. But if Love is healthy, yes, because then I think it gives them a dynamic that they haven't had in the past. Another big to play with Bam Adebayo, somebody who could stretch the floor similar to Bam. But now, if you have a healthy Kevin Love and you put him out there with Tyler Hero, with Bam, with Max Strus, and then Jimmy Butler, you create a lot of space for Jimmy Butler to work. And we know Jimmy Butler is one of the most deadliest guys in the mid range and in the low post as a guard. So if Kevin Love is right, this could be a very significant move. And Miami, I never count them out because I think Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the NBA, and that he culture is real. I mean, we hear it a lot. We hear a lot of people say, "Oh, he culture," but it's real because every year when they get to the playoffs, they show up and they show out. Last year, they were one game away from beating Boston and probably, moving on to potentially winning an NBA Finals. So I think it's legitimate if Kevin Love is healthy.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I like Kevin Love, so I hope it does work out. And you also know Miami is my second home. Shout out to the family
Listen,
Joes. I'll be back down there
you
soon.
you got multiple second homes because you got residency with the Lakers now because of LeBron. Now you talking about Miami. we want to get the Ron's questions in a second as well, but he is past his prime. But again, this isn't a situation Ron where he's got to go in and carry anything. He's just looking to be a veteran leader on a team that needs another piece. He definitely is an upgrade at the 4 position for them if he's healthy. Kevin Love, though, do you think the Cavs should have retired his number? I didn't see it. I didn't think it was necessary.
Okay, so here's the thing with that, right? Um, well, at least I think I get it from their standpoint. How many championships do the Cavaliers have?
One.
Right? He was a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Big part of that. And he's been there for a long time. He stayed, everybody else left. He was the last man standing. So from that standpoint, I understand it. I mean, where else would you guess? Oh, I guess if you were going to retire his jersey, I guess it would have to be in Cleveland. I mean, maybe in Minnesota. But
Everybody don't have to get their jersey
yeah,
retired
everybody
though.
don't have to get their jersey.
Like,
But I get it though, because again, like I said, they only have one championship. He was a big part of that, and he stayed longer than Kyrie. And when LeBron left, everybody left. It's still Kevin Love, so I get it. Should he have? I guess realistically, you know what I'm saying. But whatever. They only have one, and that one really meant a lot to the city of Cleveland. So for them, okay, yeah, I get it.
I didn't get it because, like I said, to me, yeah, the contribution was big in terms of winning a championship, but he wasn't there long enough or had a big enough impact on the organization.
Yeah, his
Um,
better years were in Minnesota. I will say that. But that's why I said it. I think it's more so just the fact that he was part of their big three that got them their first and only championship. So you know what I mean. For them,
I
I
guess.
get it. That's outside of that. No, I don't see why Kevin Love needs to have his jersey retired. You know what I mean. But for them, yeah, I get it. Let's go to Ron's question. Let's get your prediction for the Lakers versus Mavs tonight. Today is the real test for the Lakers. They beat the Pelicans without Zion and Warriors without Curry and Wiggins, but I got Luka and Kyrie tonight. I'm gonna start with that one, Eric. I'll take that one. I'm
Yeah,
going with
that game tonight or tomorrow. I thought that game was the Sunday game.
is that the Sunday game? Let me see. I gotta.
I'm gonna double check it too. But either way, go ahead, bro.
But yeah, but I'm taking the Lakers in that one. I know people been down on the Lakers, but right now they're healthy. They made some really good moves to bring in a lot of shooting actually, with Malik Beasley, with D'Angelo Russell. Obviously we've only seen really one game with the full roster, how it's going to be. But very very good win against the Warriors team that yeah, I know they're struggling this season. But going into this matchup, I just if Anthony Davis is good to go, I think he can pretty much do what he want versus the Dallas Mavericks. And then the rest of those guys, I think they're kind of filling into place. So I think the Lakers win this game tonight. As far as score, I don't know about how close it'll be, but I do think the Lakers come away with the win tonight.
Yeah, that game is actually tomorrow. That's the 3:30 game tomorrow. I'm gonna agree with Ron. I got the Dallas Mavs in this game. I think what we're starting to see from Luke and Kyrie is pretty special. They're gonna get it right, but I also think too. I don't want to put too much stock in the Lakers just yet because the Lakers really haven't beaten a full squad yet. I like how they're playing. They do look better, but they haven't beaten a full squad yet. So for me, I got to go with Dallas.
All right, there you go. Oh, you know what? And I'm gonna ask you guys, since we got y'all in the chat right now. I want y'all to start putting them lists together and send them in your pick for best player at each position: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. Because we want you guys to help us out when we put together our Mount Rushmore list. So y'all can either drop them in the comments, or if you guys want to DM us on Twitter, on Instagram at Real Fan Talk, you can do that as well. But so sending us in your top fives because we're going to record our Mount Rushmore special
And
soon, very soon. So we definitely want you guys' opinions.
yeah, and Hoop Ball the Scoop. Um, Kyrie should his number should be retired with the Cavs, without a doubt. The longevity might not have been there, but while he was there, he easily was one of the greatest players in franchise history, and obviously has the biggest shot, most significant shot in franchise history. Kyrie's number, when it's all said and done, it will be up in the rafters there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one, they drafted him. That was, you know what I mean? That was the number one draft pick. Obviously, at the end, it didn't work out, but they got a championship before he left, and he was a big part of it. I mean, you go back to the 40-40 night with him and LeBron
Hmm.
was at game 6, and then to hit the shot to seal the deal in the face of one of the somebody who we just was talking about last week about getting into that top 10 all time and Steph Curry. Well, he's definitely a big part of that. So yeah, you kind of have to retire Kyrie's jersey. I don't know about no other place, but at least in Cleveland. It didn't work out too well in the rest of the locations. So no, but definitely in Cleveland, they to retire. Thank you, Pooh. Yeah, that game is on Sunday. Appreciate you for that. Um, we said, let me see what let me throw this other. Is this all time? Oh, this is
Yes.
all time top five. Because again, we're trying to move away from the GOAT conversation just for basketball and just put together our Mount Rushmore, which obviously we know the Mount Rushmore is for, but we're going position by position. So send us who's the best point guard of all time, who's the best shooting guard of all time, who's the best small forward of all time, power forward, and center of all time. Send those in so we can put the votes in and we can get together, myself and Eric, and we can put our Mount Rushmore special together.
Yeah, and you ain't got to put them in the comment section now because that's gonna be for a future episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't want you guys to flood it now and think that we're ignoring it. Because like I said, that's gonna be more for a future episode. You get us up on social media. You're gonna put the email up later as well. They can send it in. However you guys want to send it in, let us know. We'll keep tallies on it. Drunk, you're absolutely right as well. He said without Kyrie, I don't believe Braun comes back to Cleveland. You're 1000% correct. I think
Yeah.
too often a lot is made that Braun is coming home, but people forget that there was a young Kyrie who was already an all-star on that team, and that's what really intrigued Braun about coming back home to play with such a dynamic guard like Kyrie.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let me see. Hold on, we got a.
Oh yeah, I knew this one was coming.
All right, hold on. Let's read. Pooh, Pooh. All right, let me read Pooh's question here. Okay, y'all, help me with this. Brandon Miller has been in the news linked to that shooting of the female of a month ago. So did Darius Miles get arrested? But can y'all check it all, break it all
Yes.
down? Okay, go ahead, Eric.
So the latest update when the news came out that Brandon Miller had provided the gun. Obviously, Darius Miles is the shooter in this situation. He is still in custody. Brandon Miller, from what I've read and heard, was cooperating with police from day one about this. So the details have not come out as to why the gun was provided. But from what police have said and what the University of Alabama have said is that Brandon Miller has been cooperating with police from day one about this. He has not hid the fact that that was his gun. I guess the details they're still working out is how did that gun end up with Darius Miles. So that's still a developing situation, but that's a very, very ugly situation. We talked about it in a previous episode, Trip. Remember where we talked about the jealousy and sometimes for whatever reason, there are men out here who just can't take no as an answer or can't take rejection for whatever reason, and it led to a very tragic situation. So until we learn a little bit more, I don't want to throw any dirt on Brandon Miller's name until we know some more details. And shout out to Cliff. I see you, Cliff. I saw in his stories he was at the Laker game. Trip.
Facts. If for y'all that don't know, when we are in the TV station recording, obviously we on the road right now. But when we're in the TV station, Cliff is our technical director, so he runs the show for us. So whenever y'all see us on TV, that's Cliff. That's making all that
Right.
TV magic happen. So big shout out to Cliff.
And who Baller Scoop? You're right. I said it wrong. Darius Miles was there. He was not identified as the trigger man, but he was there.
Right. Thank you guys, man. All right, where we going with this? We still got some more things going on in the NBA. Ben Simmons, everybody's favorite Ben Simmons. He's out again. I mean, I'm just at this point, I'm on a sabbatical from the Nets for a little while until they get the act together. They've done one good thing, I would probably say in this season, and well, I guess two, and that's bringing in Jacques Vaughn to be the head coach, and then extending him this past week as well. But other than that, they have been messing up on all the chords. So this Ben Simmons stuff, it's yeah, at this point, you know, I don't expect anything from Ben Simmons anymore. I did hear early in the season there was a supposed trade in place that would have sent Ben Simmons to Miami, Bam Adebayo to Brooklyn, and Donovan Mitchell um to Donovan Mitchell to Miami, excuse me, and Ben Simmons to Miami, and so I I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with the Nets right now. And Ben Simmons, I wish him the best. Hope he can get it together because I mean he did have a lot of talent. This was a former All Star, former All Defensive player, but after the injuries and all of the mental stuff, I really don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons at this point.
Yeah, it's tough to know what's really going on with him. He really, he really hasn't been right since that game against Atlanta, that game 7 with Philly against Atlanta. And I don't know what's next for him. I don't think the long-term answer is for him to be in Brooklyn. I just think New York is too passionate of a sports town for him right now. He probably needs to go somewhere that's much more low key and kind of redevelop himself, similar to Markel Fultz and the way he's done it in Orlando and kind of flown under the radar, but then redevelop his game. He may have to go that way, man. But yeah, drunk is on one again, man. He want to send him to China. He said, get him up out of there, man. But Ben, yeah, it's a lot going on with Ben right now, and I just don't think the Nets are the right situation for him.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, hoop baller. I don't think Ben Simmons they don't love the game at a high level. Some of his injuries, you shake your head like, come on, yeah, I agree, man. Especially and I get it because again, like I hate to say somebody should be doing something because if you're not dealing with whatever they're dealing with, like you can't all the way speak on it. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, man, like you young, you got to get it together, man. This is the time right now, especially now, what I mean, where you have a chance in Brooklyn where everybody is gone, so there's really no pressure for anything at this point. So you could really kind of start the process of turning your career around, turning your image around. But yeah, he has to be in the right headspace in order to do that. I think that's where it's going to start for him. First is the mental, and then everything else can kind of play itself out.
Yeah, and I agree with Hoop Baller Scoop because I don't think he loves the game at a high level. I don't think he ever really did. And it showed because he never really developed and enhanced his game. His game has pretty much been the same, from the day he's come in the league. The only difference is the league caught up to it. So the things he did year 1, year 2, year 3, as the league caught up to it, you can't do it no more. Now he's starting to see that it's tougher than he probably originally thought it was. But ultimately, he got to get out of Brooklyn. He just got to go somewhere low key and start all over.
Yeah, let me throw because I know they're talking about Clay. Yeah, Clay definitely went off again. We that another game 6 Clay sighting right there. I mean, well, we know eh, Clay is the greatest shooter outside of Steph Curry that we've seen all the time. So that's expected from Clay, and I do feel like with Clay, he definitely wants to continue to prove that he's back to get to that game 6 Clay form before all of the injuries kept him out for those couple of seasons. He wants to show that he's back. And that was definitely a sign of it last night. He was shooting the lights out last night. You can't even say nothing about that.
Yeah, the performance is crazy, especially when you consider, right? So he makes the 12 threes, as everybody highlighted. Damn near every shot he took yesterday, aside from 2, were all threes. He took 17 threes. He only took 19 total shots. So he basically lived and scored 40 points just shooting threes on you. This is what makes the Warriors so dangerous if they can get healthy for the playoffs. And this is why nobody wants to write them off, because if Steph comes back healthy, now Clay looks like he's back to his old form. They could be the Splash Brothers again in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Eric, you want to take Dion's question?
What current NBA star would you love to see win an NBA title that hasn't? It's a good question. Um, right off the top of my head, I would have to say two guys that stand out the most. Joel Embiid, because I love the way he plays the game, and I would love to see him be an NBA champion, and Dame Lillard, because of not only the way Dame plays, but his loyalty to Portland.
Mm, okay. Um, let me see. I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Embiid. I like Embiid. Um, I would love to see Chris Paul get a ring. And I think now he has the best opportunity he possibly can to get a ring. So I guess Chris Paul would probably be number one on my list of guys that I would like to see get a ring. Let me see, is anybody outside of the Chris Paul that I mean, I would have loved to see Melo get a ring, but I don't think he's gonna get signed this season. So
Yes.
that would have probably been it. Outside of Chris Paul would have been Carmelo Anthony, but yeah, again, he's not signed right now, and it doesn't look like he's gonna get signed this season. So take it as that.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what we got. Let me see what else we got on the rundown for today. The thing in the NBA.
And Dion, let us know who you got. Everybody comment. Let me know what stars y'all would love to see win a ring who haven't won a ring already.
Yeah, facts. Y'all drop them comments. Let us know. And while y'all do that, I'm just gonna send a big shout out to James Harden. He sent a pair of his game worn sneakers over to the one of the victims in the Minnesota, and it was the Michigan
Mhm.
shooting. FaceTime call with him and all of that. So we love to shout out and big up our athletes when they out here doing positive things. So big shout out to James Harden on that. I see Drunk say he wants to see Jimmy Butler. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I like Jimmy Butler. I wouldn't
I'm
mind
not
Jimmy.
mad at that. Yeah,
Yeah. Especially because Jimmy Butler is one of the hardest working players. You know what I mean? That we've seen. His grind is so crazy. I love was back when he was playing with the second team in the practice and beating up on the first string. Like you gotta love a guy like Jimmy Butler. Obviously they made it to the finals a couple of years ago in the bubble year, lost to the Lakers, but I do like Jimmy Butler. I would love to see him get a ring,
I
um,
agree.
as well.
Jimmy, I would love to see. We talked about him earlier. I would love to see Russ get a ring because that's the only thing that's missing on the resume.
You know what? Yeah, I would like to see Russ get a ring, but not while he's with the Clippers though. But other than that, yeah, I would love to see get a ring as well. Before we switch over to some football stuff, the Heat is looking like the Heat are going to sign. Was it Quinn Snyder as the new head coach? They got
The
rid of.
Hawks.
Excuse me, the Hawks. I'm sorry. They
Yeah,
got rid of Nate McMillan. That's okay. I see you up there. It was that Mika Boo? I see you would love to see Chris Paul, but then you would love because they both can't. They both can't
yeah,
this season, and they both getting older too. So that's the thing. When you talk about at least with Embiid, he's young enough where he's got at least a decade left to play. Chris Paul, the way he was looking last year, come playoff time, I don't know how many more years we're gonna see Chris Paul in the league. Same thing with Russ. Russ can stick around a little bit longer, but again, these guys are older now, and they're not going to be in the league. I can't see these guys being in the league for more another 5-6 years. So it'll be harder for those guys to get a ring. But either one of those guys is definitely more than worthy. I think both of those guys are first ballot Hall of Famers, and definitely title worthy. So I wouldn't mind either
I,
one of those.
yeah. I wouldn't be mad at either one. I would always say a little bit more leaning towards Russ than Chris Paul. Chris Paul got his shot with the Suns. Remember when Russ and them went? They were so young. They probably thought they were going to get back to more opportunities, and he hasn't had it. So that's the only reason I would lean more to Russ. But you can't be mad with either one of them guys.
Nah, not at all, not at all. NFL news. The Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't take long to.
Hold on. I thought we was getting into Quinn Snyder.
Okay. We're going to get into Quinn. Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk Quinn
Yeah,
Snyder.
yeah. Quinn Snyder's going over to Atlanta. I hate that Nate McMillan was cast to be the scapegoat there. Um, I would like to know, and we need to have somebody maybe who's a little more in tune with what's going on with the Atlanta Hawks organization. There's been this constant rumbling for a few years now. We're like 3 or 4 years in about Trey Young and what he isn't as a leader, what he is as a teammate. Him and John Collins have gotten into it before. Now Nate McMillan gets fired. This is the second head coach that's been fired under Trey Young. So at some point, the accountability got to fall on Trey Young because I think Nate McMillan has done a great job or had done a great job there. He led them to an Eastern Conference Finals. He led them to back-to-back playoff appearances, and he's out the door already. For me, Trip, I would like to know a little bit more about Trey Young and what role he's playing in all this because when you're a young player and you're already on your third head coach, at some point, some of that's got to fall on your star.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I mean, and we've heard the rumors about Trey Young wanting to get out of Atlanta before. There's so many stories that come out of that organization. It's kind of hard to tell until somebody, I'm sure at some point somebody's gonna let the cat out of the bag, and we'll hear what's really been going on behind the scenes over there. But yeah, Trey Young, he's the best player on that team, so it's going to be up to him to kind of step up and lead things. But you also have to have that connection with the coach as well. So maybe there was some friction there between him and Nate McMillan, which ultimately led to him being up out of there. I mean, obviously the team isn't playing as well as I guess expected of them, but yeah, I think Trey Young is definitely got to step his game up, as a leader on the court as well.
Yeah, there's got to be something going on there. Mika Boo mentioned Trey is the problem. Probably you think he's more than what he is. Very possible. Um, they've been trying to trade John Collins for 3 years straight. Yeah, that's been going on. Like I said, that's really dated back to the issues that John Collins and Trey have had internally. And that was talked about during that year that they went on a playoff run. That those guys really weren't seeing eye to eye, and they were trying to figure out the dynamics of that team. But for me, I just find it very odd because when you look at that roster, that's a really good roster. There's a lot of talent on that team, and for Nate McMillan to become the scapegoat, I just don't think it's right, man.
Yeah, but that's how it goes. Because I mean, we gonna get rid of our young superstar? If
No,
it,
we know
yeah,
that's
so
the
that's
difference. That's I know we're gonna get to NFL in a second. That is the difference between the NFL and the NBA. We heard the story this week about Russell Wilson wanted Pete Carroll out, and the Seahawks were like, "Nah, we'll get rid of you first." Whereas in the NBA, it's the other way around. It's a star-driven league. I get that completely, but it's one of them dynamics that's just very odd for me because Trey, aside from that 1 year, hasn't really done much to elevate the organization.
yeah,
And Quinn Snyder, who's coming in, I like Quinn Snyder as a coach, but Quinn Snyder at one point had Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and he kept losing in the first round. So what upgrade is that really at coach? It's got to be some sort of change from the players if y'all really want things to get better here. Because Quinn Snyder coming over is not like he's never coached talent either. He's coached some high level talent as well.
yeah. I do want to get to Mika had another question up here about Jabari Parker. Let me throw that up on the screen. Yo, man, big shout out to y'all, man, for rocking with
Big
us and
facts.
continuing it to keep this thing going. Mika's question is, why is Jabari Parker out of the NBA? First of all, I was
He
a
was in the,
Jabari,
he was in the
but
league last year.
yeah. Um, I was a Jabari Parker fan coming out of college. I know if y'all been rocking with us, for those of you that been rocking with us for a while, I know Duke is my college team. So I was a Jabari Parker fan coming out of college. I think injuries threw him his career off track earlier. And then sometimes it's hard to stay in the league as a journeyman. You got new guys coming in every week that can do a lot of different things. We're kind of into an era where it's like you kind of have to shoot the three on the offensive side of the ball now. It's more of a 3-and-D kind of a league. I think he's a good solid role player, but I think teams just kind of see a lot of they rather give the younger talent a shot. Jabari Parker's actually been around for a while. Man. He's been in the league for some years, so he's had the averages I think like 3 or 4 years, but he's been in the league longer than that. He just never really got to that potential as a top draft pick that he was projected to be.
Yeah, the injuries is really what robbed him of his opportunity because he's still a very young man. I don't even think he's 30, Trip, to be honest. So, the injuries of what slowed him down a little bit. And then, the league has so much talent, especially at the wing position on the perimeter, that
Yeah,
you kind of get lost in the shuffle. You saw last year, like Boston tried to bring him in and give him a look, but there wasn't really enough minutes to give him much there. And when you look around the league, unless he's willing to go to a team like a Oklahoma City who completely developing their young guys and talent. There really aren't too many opportunities for him right now. It's unfortunate, but he may just have to go the overseas route.
yeah. I mean, listen, he'll definitely still be able to play basketball. If he wants to play basketball, he can do that. And I'm sure he'll get other tryouts, especially guys get injured. He might be able to get a
Mhm.
10-day contract here and there. We just saw Myers Leonard get a 10-day contract with Milwaukee. So I'm sure as guys go down with injuries, he'll get other opportunities. But yeah, just right now, there might not be a spot on the roster.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm still trying to get Carmelo back. We ain't get Carmelo back yet. I still think he got some juice left. Even I mean, Dwight Howard took his talent overseas. I think Dwight Howard could have still been on somebody's roster, maybe not as a starter, but I think Dwight Howard could have definitely
Hell yeah.
coming off the bench at least for some team. So
If DeAndre Jordan's still getting spots, Dwight could have definitely got some minutes somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't even think I've seen DeAndre Jordan actually in a game. This
Yeah.
I
So,
can't even
but
remember the last time I seen DeAndre Jordan in a game.
yeah, there's always that's just what how the game works, man. And unfortunately, a year or two go by, if injuries start to mount up, the young guys that come behind them, those are the guys that the teams are going to invest the minutes and resources in. And if you're a guy like Jabari who had a couple years in, couple injuries, it's like, man, yeah, we might have a few minutes for you, but more than likely you're going to be on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't mind that drunk sending Melo to the Suns. At least it'll be the best possible chance for him to get a ring.
Ah, man, I love Carmelo, man, and I love everything he did for my Knicks, man. But yeah, I think it looks like it's over.
Yeah. Um, Eric, can you take Lene's question? And yeah, let me just I do think Duke is playing better right now. Obviously, Coach K ain't there no more, but I think they are starting to improve.
Uh, so yeah, this is a good question. First, Gil is a shock value guy. He says things purely for shock value, and I understand it. He's trying to draw more eyes and attention to his platform, but it's very. I never understand why people try to hate or compare other eras because you have to understand that the game was played completely different. You look at '80s basketball, the 3-point line was at its infancy stage. Nobody was able to shoot the ball that way. Nobody was looking to shoot the ball and shoot the three the way we do now. Also, it was a big man dominated game. You threw it to the low post, you let the big man go to work, and everybody else kind of stood around and cut off of that. So to try to say, in Gil's words, to try to say those guys can compete now, that's almost knocking those guys' basketball IQ. Those guys could have adjusted to the game the way it's played now, if that's the style of play it needed to be. Because we can't forget there was also West Coast teams in the '80s that were averaging 140 points a night, that were getting up and down the court and playing a fast flowing game. So they could have adjusted, absolutely. But Gill is a shock value guy. In terms of the first part of your question, you ever watch NBA game? No one's playing defense. I do agree with that. I think some of these guys conserve themselves, and some of these guys understand that I want to be as fresh as possible for the fourth quarter, and then that's when we start to see a little bit more locked in defense and a little more intensity. But again, that's just the way the game is played now. It's played at a faster pace, more space, and everybody's expected to get up and down the court and get as many shots up as possible. And defensively, it's very tough to ask somebody to do that for 48 minutes as well. To be a guy who can consistently knock down a corner three and run up and down the court and play defense on the other end.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. First of all, any superstar from the '80s or '90s could definitely play in this era. Like I'm gonna say that hands down. Now, if you're talking about the rest of the role players, I think we're in 2023. Players are bigger, stronger, faster. So maybe not from a physical athletic standpoint with some of these guys. I mean, especially not anything before the '80s. I don't know if they could definitely keep up with these guys now. But anybody coming out or coming into the league, they're going to cater themselves after what's the most dominant things going on in the league at the time. So, like Eric mentioned, where now it's a shooters league. So yeah, everybody coming out of the league now, you want to be able to shoot the three. The new thing is the 3-and-D players. So I do think that in the '80s and '90s, if those guys were coming into the league now, they would still be able to play. They would just be doing the things that we saw now. If you look at, say, a guy like Elijah would have been a transcendent big man.
Mm-hmm.
He was somebody that could step back and shoot the three at that time. Even a guy like Patrick Ewing who couldn't shoot the three like that, but he could step back and hit those long 2-point
Mm-hmm.
jump shots as well. So you had guys, you look at a guy like Reggie Miller, who, what I mean, up until recently, we looked at as the greatest shooter of all time. You know what I mean? Guys like that, like superstars, are always going to be transcended. So I don't. So with his comments in regards to that, you can kind of cancel the superstars out of the equation, right? Because obviously, one, we know Michael Jordan was going to dominate in any era that he played in. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
And see, like, to Drunk's point, right? That question he put up, Gilbert said Bill Laimbeer would not make an NBA roster today. Y'all believe that? See, that this is why this is all shock value, right? Because if Bill Laimbeer couldn't make a roster today, then how is Steven Adams on the roster? Because Steven Adams is exactly the same type of player as Bill Laimbeer.
mhm.
Steven Adams is very limited offensively. It's in terms of skill set, right? But he's a guy who protects the rim. He's a defensive anchor on your team. So if Steven Adams could play nowadays, how could Bill Laimbeer not? But
Yeah,
these are the things Gil, will throw out there for shock value. And to your point, Trip, I want to double down on it as well. The greats are going to be the greats, and the greats are the greats because they adjust to whatever the game presents them. You know what I'm saying? When you're a secondary player on the team or role player, yeah, you're just going to do whatever it takes to get you on the roster. But we can't overlook that a lot of guys in the 80s and 90s sacrificed their game because that's what the NBA told them to do. There was guys who probably could have averaged 20, 25 a night in the right situation, but you get drafted to a situation where you got to come in and kind of be more of a role player. You got to limit your shots. You got to take certain things out of your game to fit to be able to get some playing time. Michael Cooper said as much when he got drafted to the Lakers. Michael Cooper was an All-American in college,
Mhm.
but they already got Magic. They got Kareem. They got James Worthy. So they don't need me to score 20. They need me to come in here and be a defensive anchor on this team and run the lane and get a couple baskets in transition. But my job is to play defense. We see it. Andrew Wiggins, look how his game has changed when he's been allowed to shoot more.
Absolutely.
Look at Harrison Barnes and what he was with the Golden State Warriors compared to the Kings. When he's able to shoot more, he's going to score more. So certain guys have to sacrifice their game for the greater good of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me throw Melissa's comment up here. She tried to spell my myth a little bit. Lucas and not fast and dominating bigger, stronger, faster players. Yes, Luka is an anomaly.
And same thing with Joker.
So yes, those two. Like you don't see too many Lukas in the league. You don't see too many Jokers in the league. And even if you look at the other guy, like let's say who's the best player from out of Europe or period in the league, period, is Giannis. That's that prototype, bigger, stronger, faster,
Mhm.
and able to do it on both sides of the floor as well. But yeah, Luke is definitely an anomaly. And he's one of my favorite players as well, one of the top players in this league. So, and I think he's going to continue to get better. As he continues to grow in this league. Let me just throw Melissa's comment up there because we miss Melo, man. We New York guys, so
Yeah.
we definitely miss Carmelo Anthony hooping. She says, "What's the deal with Carmelo Anthony not being on the team? In Portland, he was solid. Melo can give a team 10 points in a game in 15 minutes. Your guess is as good as ours, okay? Because right now, first of all, there are teams right now that I feel like Melo could start on. Not saying he's going to be an all-star or superstar or anything like that, but there are guys in the league right now that I feel like Carmelo Anthony could play ahead of on the roster. So I wholeheartedly believe Melo could still be in the league playing. Now again, I'm sure a lot of teams look at it as Melo's old, and we got a lot of young talent that we need to be given opportunities to see what they can do because they're going to be here. Whether or not Melo plays this year, Melo's not going to be here for the next 10 years. So my guess would be that we got to give these young kids who are going to be or potentially could wind up being here that time. Because again, going back to what you said about Michael Cooper, okay, where he comes out of college as an All-American, but has to kind of tailor his game to what the team needs. So yeah, these just like now we got to get the young guys they run and see what's up because they're going to be the guys that are going to carry the franchise moving forward. Obviously, I don't even think money is too big of an issue in here because Melo's going to get the league minimum anyway at this point. But personally, I would love to see Melo win the league. I know Eric would love to see Melo win the league. We just finished listing him as one of the guys that we would love to see get a championship. So
Yeah, I mean, and in terms of like him starting, yeah, he could start if he wanted to go to Houston or San Antonio, right? But at this point in Melo's career, he wants to play for championships or at least significant playoff runs. So that limits his options. As Drunk mentioned, maybe it is Phoenix. Maybe a team like them, they bring him in and give him an opportunity to come off their bench and play, 8 to 12 minutes a night as an additional shooter. Maybe it is a team like Memphis who might need another shooter, a veteran guy off their bench. But it's got to be a situation where he's playing for a team that is playing for something. It can't just be for a situation of, oh, Melo's getting 20 minutes tonight for the Toronto Raptors, but they're not playing for anything. He's going to want to play for something, and that's where it gets tricky. So we may see Melo picked up late. Who knows? But I honestly think it's over. I think that time is come and gone. And unfortunately, it was a great run, but I think it is over for Melo.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, and it sucks because it's like you get attached to these guys as your favorite players. So yeah, you want a guy like Melo to end his career with a ring. I want it more than anything for Allen Iverson to finish his career with a championship ring.
Yeah.
It just it doesn't always happen. Drunk says, y'all think NBA suffering from too much talent, being the reason players like Melo just getting. I mean, that is a big part of it as well. Like, there's a lot of guys that can do similar things to what Melo can do, and then you add the age, and they're a lot younger. So yeah, just look how much. I mean, come on, you see how many guys in the league that play well, So
Yeah, I don't want to say the league is suffering from that. I think that's probably not the right take. I would take on it, but I think the league is also smarter, right? So we have certain teams that even though they're not good, they're not going to give the minutes to Melo because, like Tripp said, they want to develop a young guy. You know what I'm saying? So could he start on Houston? Yeah, but why would Houston bring Melo in and take minutes away from a young guy who they could develop for the years to come?
yeah,
So it's just one of them situations that sometimes you age out, man, and we see it in football as well. We see it in baseball as well, where sometimes it'd be that your favorite veteran who just can't get on with the team because it's not the right situation. So Melo had his opportunity. Melo had a very long career. Melo had his chance. I hate that the Knicks wasted some of those years, but he had opportunities in Denver too, and they didn't really make it work. And remember he went to LA last year, and they were supposed to make it work there, and they really didn't. So maybe that was it. Maybe Melo had his opportunities, and that time has come and gone.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, while I got you guys, make sure you guys are locked in with us, man, on all our social media. Again, Twitter, Instagram at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/, Real Fans Real Talk. Let me throw the YouTube up there for you guys as well. Subscribe to that YouTube channel if you aren't already, youtube.com/, For the Fans Productions. And do not worry if you guys aren't in the New York City area and you can't watch on Verizon 43 on Thursdays from 8 to 9 p.m. You can still watch us from anywhere in the world. All you have to do is go to realfansrealtalk.com, click that red button on the homepage, and you can watch on Thursday nights from anywhere in the world. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Real Fans Real Talk and the Sanchez Show podcast. Both podcasts are on all major streaming platforms. We got so much more content that's going to be coming to you guys within the next couple of weeks. A couple of more big guests that we're going to be bringing on the show as well. So make sure that you guys are locked in with everything that we have going, because we want you guys to be interactive with us, especially once we start bringing the guests onto the show. We definitely want you guys going back and forth, dropping your comments, dropping your questions, with us as well. So just stay locked in with us. Eric, can we talk a little bit of football, because we're running low on time today? Unfortunately, guys, we gotta have a hard exit at 12 o'clock today. So I'm gonna try to squeeze as many of the topics that we have on the rundown and then over this last 12 minutes of the show. Kansas City Chiefs, they promote Matt Nagy to the new Chiefs offensive coordinator. Um uh I mean, I guess according to, since Andy Reid calls all the plays anyway, does this even matter, right? I guess.
Yeah. It's not shocking because Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator actually before Eric Bieniemy. That's how Matt Nagy got the Bears job. So he's been back on their staff the last couple of years since being fired from the Bears. I don't think it's that big of a deal as you mentioned, because Andy Reid still has full control over the offense. He's still going to call the plays.
Mhm.
And for the Chiefs, this is just about keeping everything in house and letting everything run as smoothly as possible. I mean, when you've been to 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, you really don't want to rock the boat too much. So just bring in a guy who already knows the system, knows what we like to do, and Andy Reid is still going to call the plays.
Exactly. I agree. Um, Rams making some headlines. Been a year now since they won the Super Bowl. But they did sign middle linebacker Bobby Wagner to a 5-year deal. But he is actually released, and they are also talking about trading Jalen Ramsey. One of the top cornerbacks in football. What's your thoughts on both of those things, Eric?
The Bobby Wagner one is a little surprising because he played really well. He led the league in tackles. He was second team All Pro this year, so he played really well. The Ramsey one, I'm not too surprised about because they were at a point where they're in cap hell. They went all in for those couple seasons, and they got to kind of backpedal off of that. And remember when they were saying "f them picks"? Now they saying we were just playing. So they're trying to get Jalen Ramsey up out of there to see if they can get some picks back because they're in a very tough spot. The Rams about to be in for a long rebuild over the next few years.
Yeah, and listen, you know they they did what what the team is supposed to do. When you go all in like that to win a Super Bowl, you have to win a Super Bowl, and they did it. And you got to think how many teams are not going to win a Super Bowl over the next 30 years. Like just right now, I'm just throwing random numbers, but it could be you could be go longer than that. There's teams that's going to go another 40 years without winning championships. So I would say at least you can check off the investments that they made, all the trades, to get Matthew Stafford, them bringing in Von Miller for the year. They did everything they could to win the ring, and they got the ring. And hey, listen, now you start over.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But you got your ring out of the deal. Let me throw Drunk's comments up there. I know McVay wanted to dip on the Rams. So.
Hey, he may still do it. He's flirted with the idea of retiring over the last year or two, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he still does, or maybe he just comes back for one more year and then retires, take a little break, and then find a better situation.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? We don't know how this thing's gonna shape out. Coaches jump ship all the time. When everything look good, they're gonna stick around. But if they can go
Well,
to greener pastures, hey,
but we got to give McVay his credit though, because he took over after Jeff Fisher left that a complete mess with
yes,
the Rams, and he immediately turned them into contenders
absolutely.
under Sean McVay. This was their first year actually missing the playoffs with Sean McVay, so he's done a great job there. He deserves everything he's gotten there, and winning that Super Bowl.
Yeah, and to their defense, they had a lot of big season-ending injuries.
Yeah,
Cup goes down after a while. Matthew Stafford goes down. So they had a lot of key injuries. Plus, losing Odell Beckham Jr., losing Von Miller this season. They didn't have Robert Woods anymore. So they definitely there was a lot that went into them not making the playoffs this year. If everybody's healthy, they're probably in the playoffs again. How far they go, I can't say, but if everybody's healthy, I think that they're back in the playoffs.
yeah, they had one of the most injury plagued seasons in terms of the offensive line. I think they started the most combination of offensive linemen this year. On opening night, they were already down to the backup, I think backup right and left guard. So they had already missed the starting guards before the season even started. And by the time the season ended, they were down to some third stringers. So they just had a lot of injuries over there.
Yeah, exactly. And oh my God, Davis Webb, backup quarterback for the Giants. He got himself a nice little cushy coaching job with the Denver Broncos. He's gonna be Russell Wilson's new QB coach, man. Shout out to him, man. I love it.
I just want to know how those meetings go, because if you're my quarterback coach and you weren't better than me as a quarterback, what advice can you give me? That's what I would love to know.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm sure there's a lot that this ain't the first time that's happened.
No, it's not. But I'm always intrigued by those conversations, because it's like, obviously you can't read a defense better than me, because if you could, you would have been a successful quarterback. So you couldn't do that. So what conversations are we having now? If now
Some guys are better coaches though than they are
some
players.
right, and I was just about to say that. I think it's different when there's a distance between the time you guys have played. Like, for example, Ken Dorsey, who's the offensive coordinator at the Bills. Ken Dorsey's in his 40s. He's much older than Josh Allen. He wasn't in the league when Josh Allen was in the league. So there is no comparison. But when you're talking about two guys that were in the league at the same time, and it's like, now you're my coach. Okay. I don't know how those meetings go. That's funny to me.
Well, they said Russ. It was weird because Russ Wilson got an office next to like all of the gyms and all of that.
Yeah.
So they already
Yeah.
got some weird stuff going on in Denver.
Russ had an office, and he had his own like little coaching staff that only worked with him. Remember, Sean Payton came in immediately and said, "Yeah, that's not happening anymore. You're
Yeah,
getting rid of them guys."
exactly. Shout out to the Rock, man. Bought the XFL. The XFL is going. I don't know how much you've gotten into the XFL yet. I did check out a little bit of it. I did like seeing guys like Josh Gordon, who I really liked in the league. AJ McCarron, former Alabama QB. He got some run out there. I mean, it's not NFL, and I haven't put no tickets in yet on XFL football. But it's cool, I guess, to turn the channel sometimes and see those guys. But it's still football, it's still professional football. And I want to try to support the Rock and support those guys, because one thing we love amongst anything is young men and women getting to the bag. So if you can get a check and continue to do the things that you love, why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna tune in and support it for that reason, like you said, because there's a lot of young men out there who NFL dreams, for whatever reason, are cut short. and it's unfair because them guys shouldn't have to just fade off into the sunset. If you still got game left, you should be able to play somewhere. So
Mhm.
I like it, and I'm gonna tune in. I got to do a little more research before we start gambling on it, though, Trip. Because we're not just trying to throw money away, but I'm gonna tune in. Drunk got the inside. Drunk, I need to know what you thought of the Battle Hawks. Let me know what you think of the Battle Hawks. We might have to put a little something down on them in the coming weeks.
Drunk be everywhere. He got he got parts on everything that's
Nah,
going on.
I like Drunk style. I need to get a little intel on the Battle Hawks and know if maybe we should put them on a ticket.
And you said they should adopt their 4th and 15 rule instead of the onside kick. Okay.
I
Um,
like that. Yeah, I do like that, Trip. I don't know if you saw it, but if you instead of attempting an onside kick, you can attempt a 4th and 15, and if you convert it, you keep the ball. And
yeah,
if the defense stops you, I like that better than an onside kick. I do. I'm not a fan of that 3 point conversion play because I don't think that's really like there's no real challenge there because it's a 3 point play that I think you do from the 10-yard line, which that's still a red zone play for most teams. For every team, that's a red zone play. But that 4th and 15, I do like that better than an onside kick.
I actually kind of do like that 4th and 15. Okay, yeah. See
He's
them.
the best quarterback in the league.
Hey, roll tide, baby, roll tide. That's what I'm
so
talking
you
about,
so
man.
you're telling me the Battle Hawks? So the battle is he the Patrick Mahomes of the XFL? Is that what we? I got to look at the MVP odds. I got to check out the MVP odds after we get off the air.
Let me see. He said Hines Ward. Ward is coaching.
Okay,
Oh, nice. Okay. Hey, now that I like. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no Steelers fan, but I got a lot of respect for Hines Ward,
absolutely.
being a Ravens fan and seeing that man do what he did in this league and just bullying cats out there. Like that was one of them receivers that you did not want to go up against because he was knocking you out. You going to get hit him, he was going to hit you first. He was one of those guys. So
Listen, there's 7 o'clock. Now you got me looking it up. Now there's 7 o'clock game tonight between the Defenders and the Vipers. I'm trying to see who's on these teams, but I might have to tune in.
like the right, I think I was going by whoever got the most NBA players that are recognizable to me, and that's
Most NFL, you mean? You saying NBA
oh,
players?
excuse me. Yeah, not okay. I can look for the guys that played in the NFL that I know, and then that's how I would bet on their team because I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna give them a little bit more of an edge.
I'm trying to see what the stats was looking like. Might have to Google that. I'm gonna have to check it out. But right now, it looks like the Vipers are favored by 3 points. I'm gonna have to look into this.
All right, well, listen, we yeah, see, Drunk got us on our XFL game right now.
Yeah.
We got to start going in depth. Really quick, some boxing news. It is finally official. Paperwork is signed April 22nd. Ryan Garcia versus Javante Tank Davis. It is going down. I'm a little disappointed though because they're gonna be fighting at a catch weight. Like I'm not trying to pay pay-per-view and the belts ain't on the line. Not that I was gonna do that anyway,
They ain't got no belts anyway, though.
but I'm just saying.
None of them dudes have any belts anyway, though, bro.
And why this don't this is crazy,
It's
right?
a mega fight in the sense of the names, but
Yeah,
this is not a. Neither one of them is the champion at lightweight or welterweight.
yeah. So
Obviously, we know Devin Haney's the king at lightweight,
mhm,
and at welterweight, we're talking Spence and Crawford.
yeah.
But they had hinted that this might be at a catch weight anyway because Javante has been trying to move out of the lightweight division, and Ryan Garcia really hasn't taken any fights outside of the lightweight division. So it's still a good fight. I think it's still a great weight for them at 136. I believe they're going at it at.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because it is a fight that we wanted to see still, but they're gonna try to charge an arm and a leg to watch this fight. And it's like I only support paying for pay-per-views if it's the championship fight.
Yeah,
You know,
but it's still a mega fight. It's the biggest fight of the year,
it is.
outside of Spence and Crawford figuring out a way to get it on. But it is the biggest fight of the year.
Yeah, it definitely is. This is gonna be the first. I'm drunk. Come on, drunk. You gotta chill.
Nah, Drunk is right. He's right.
We're not gonna move.
Trip, we know the sites to go to as well. Drunk know the
Like, oh yeah,
sites.
we do.
But he's right though. This fight is so good. You don't want the connection going out on this fight.
Yeah, facts.
You can't invite people over to watch this one and then the connection ain't quality and you
Yeah,
missing parts of the fight. Nah, this is one of them that you just got to make the investment.
yeah. You know what, Eric, you're right. Drunk, you right as well. I think I'm actually gonna have a fight party for this one. Then
You just got to make the
I
investment. That's it.
think I'm gonna have a fight party. So you know what? Shout out to Drunk, man. Thank you for that, man. I'm
That's a
definitely
fact.
gonna do that. This going down tonight actually. The fight that we've been waiting for. Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul. And I say that only because it's actually the first time he's actually fighting a boxer. That's why I say it's the fight we're waiting for. Not for any other reasons but that. But who you taking tonight? You take does Jake Paul finally beat a boxer, or does Tommy Fury put an end to all of this nonsense?
I got Jake Paul. Is the fight tonight or tomorrow? We need clarification because I was seeing that since they're fighting in Abu Dhabi and the time difference, that the fight is like tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's on. It's on. Hold on, it's on ESPN.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow, like late morning, early afternoon. I thought I saw. I could be wrong. If it's tonight, I hope it is tonight though. I got Jake Paul. I'm gonna be honest because Tommy Fury hasn't shown anything as a professional boxer. Tommy Fury is more name than substance at this point. Also, Tommy Fury, similar to Jake Paul, he hasn't been beyond, I think, 6 rounds. Because he's so early on in his career, uh, he hasn't really had anything beyond like an 8 round fight. And I think he's only gone 6 rounds in any of those fights. I
Yeah,
like Jake Paul. I do. I think Jake Paul's been a little more active. I think Tommy Fury's kind of run from him the last couple times they were supposed to fight. Because the last 2 times they had a contract in place, Tommy Fury found a reason not to fight him. So I'm gonna take Jake Paul.
yeah. It's actually just going down tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. So y'all better hurry. If y'all going to church, you better hurry up. You know, tell the pastor don't be up there all day at the pulpit.
Yeah, he got to speed it up.
You got to speed it up tomorrow so I get back and watch that fight. Which Drunk says if Fury lose, we got to go get Errol.
Not. I mean, Jake Paul, yeah, Errol Spence put the beats on him, but Jake Paul's a little bigger. At this point, if Jake Paul win, it got to be the Canelo fight next. Just give him Canelo at this point. And like, we just got to end this. We need somebody to just destroy. You got to destroy him. It can't just be outboxing. You got to destroy him. It got to be Canelo.
Like I'm talking about, I want to see him knocked out like Nate Robinson was knocked out in the ring. That's what I want to see. If he beat Fury, then it got to be a real boxer that got to step up, and you gotta knock him out the way Nate Robinson was knocked out, and that's it.
Before we wrap, because I know we're running short on time, which knockout was worse? When he did to Nate Robinson was bad. But remember when we thought Canelo killed Amir Khan?
Mm-hmm.
When Canelo immediately started praying in the ring?
Well, I would say the Nate one was worse just because Nate is not really used to taking no type of hits like that because he's not a boxer.
Yeah, that's true.
At least Khan, I mean, we knew he had a glass jaw from before. So, so with that one, it's like, I get, it is what it is. It's part of the game. And lastly, before we got one more thing, a little bit of baseball. They finally got to the number one spot. The number one spot in Major League Baseball as far as the rankings go is Shohei Ohtani, with my main man Aaron Judge coming in at number 2. I got some thoughts, but Eric, I'm gonna let you talk about it first, really quick.
Ohtani being number 1 is understandable because he is a top 10 pitcher and probably a top 5 hitter in the game. So I completely get it. It's just crazy that he's number 1 because he's probably going to be a Met next year, and then Judge is number 2. So the best 2 players might be in New York next year.
I knew he was going. I knew it. I mean, listen. What can you say? Shohei is a beast. And he plays both sides. He pitches and he can hit. He's one of the top hitters in the league. I still feel like, obviously he gets a little bit of the edge because he does play, hitter, and he can hit any throws. But I would like to see Aaron Judge get that number 1 spot just because there was one stat, I forget the exact stat it was, that we looked at last year, Eric, and when you combine Shohei Ohtani's the number from the pitching and the baseball, it was still lower than Aaron Judge's rating last year. But
their WAR rating, the wins above replacement,
yeah. So, but again, you can't go wrong with either one of these guys as the best player, because somebody that can win you 15 games in a season and can bat for, hit 30, 40 home runs in a season as well. You can't deny that. So either one of those guys is great. I'm looking forward to the season. Both the Yankees and the Mets actually are projected to have the best record in their respective leagues this season as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously we got a little while before spring training starts, but baseball's gonna be fun this season.
Baseball's gonna absolutely be fun. Like I said, I don't mind Ohtani being ranked number 1. Judge won the MVP, which he should have won, and it was well deserved. So I think the rankings are the rankings. It's fine. It means nothing. in terms of long term, win games on the field. That's it.
Exactly. All right, man. Let's final thought segment, Eric.
Hey, man. As always, I thank everybody, man. You guys taking the time. You guys are making the show so enjoyable with the comments, with the interaction. We greatly appreciate it. So we hope you guys continue to tune in. Yeah, man. Enjoy your weekend. We get into some XFL. Drunk, you have inspired me to now look up some of these teams because I might want to place a bet on some of these teams. I need to see what's going on, man. So XFL, there's boxing this weekend. We get back in the full swing of things with some great NBA games. I hope everyone enjoys their weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Saturday.
Get your parlays ready, man. XFL action. We doing this. Really quick. That's all I'm gonna say is again, start getting them lists together, guys. Get y'all top 5, get the best at each position, and start sending them to us so we can get that Mount Rushmore special together. Again, thank you guys for rocking out with us. We will be back next Saturday, same time, and we're gonna keep these lives going. Again, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk, Twitter, Instagram @Real Fan Talk. And of course, make sure you guys, if you aren't already, make sure y'all subscribe to that YouTube channel, youtube.com/For the Fans Productions. We want to keep you guys in the loop of everything that's going on, and we want to keep you guys going interactive with us, with the guest that's going to be coming on the show over the next couple of weeks as well. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in 2 Games, we up out of here. Peace.